Oh, it is a tight fit, sir.
Hey.
So the more you struggle, the more this is going to hurt.
Be gentle. It's my first time. I designed this to come off, so... Ow! Hey!
Please try not to move.
Hey.
What's going on here?
Let's face it, this is not the worst thing you've caught me doing.
Greetings fanboys and fangirls, I'm Erod and I'm the Blockbuster Buster. Just in case you were unaware, I'm super duper hyped over Joss Whedon's upcoming Avengers film. I can't freaking wait. My favorite director helming the world's first superhero team crossover film. The only thing better than this would be Scarlett Johansson in a catsuit. Life is good. So to commemorate this momentous occasion in comic book history, I'm going to be reviewing the 5 tie-in films that Marvel Studios produced in conjunction with Paramount. And we're going to start this Marvel madness with Iron Man. Now, as I've pointed out before, we owe this awesome wave of quality comic book films to the Blade franchise, which is responsible for making comic book movies cool. But even then, it seemed like only the more popular characters were going to get the big budget treatment. Iron Man to me represents a new wave of comic book films, in which lesser known characters are being adapted with the same level of care and effort as the ever popular Batman and Spider-Man. I remember seeing the Iron Man trailer in the movie theater. The audience was cheering and screaming all the way through it, until the very end. When Tony appears in his trademark red and gold armor, the whole room fell silent at the sight of a fully realized, live-action armored Avenger. As we sat there in awe, I knew in my mind that the silver age of comic book movies had begun. The plot. Weapons manufacturer, genius, and millionaire playboy Tony Stark lives it up, until the day he is kidnapped by terrorists to manufacture weapons for them against his will. During his abduction, Tony ends up with a cluster of shrapnel dangerously close to his heart. The only way to stop the shrapnel from infecting his blood is with a magnet that was permanently grafted to his chest by a fellow captive scientist named Jensen. Tony turns lemons into lemonade as he modifies the magnet with a mini arc reactor, which is so powerful he can use it to power high-tech armor he uses to escape. Changed by the traumatic experience, Tony now uses his genius and his newfound disposition to fight his fellow warmongers as Iron Man. Favorite character? Director Jon Favreau did an excellent job at choosing great actors to play these iconic characters. Jeff Bridges as Obadiah Stane is excellent. He is just as lovable as he is vindictive and cunning. Gwyneth Paltrow is the perfect Pepper Potts. She is a cool, sexy modern woman who would totally give in to being Tony's girlfriend if she wasn't busy being his babysitter.
I actually don't think that you could tie your shoes without me.
I'd make it a week.
Really?
Sure.
What's your social security number?
5.
5. Right.
Right.
You're missing just a couple of digits.
The other 8.
Their banter is also perfect. I love how they interrupt and talk over each other. Every time you watch the movie, you can hear a new funny line you missed the first time.
Is it safe?
Yeah, it should be fine. It's like operation. You just don't let it touch the socket wall or it goes beep.
What do you mean operation?
It's just a game, never mind.
But my favorite character, and I apologize for the lack of originality, but it's Iron Man, baby. I remember how people were actually snobbing Robert Downey Jr. when it was announced that he got the role of the womanizing, hard-drinking Tony Stark. And a lot of people claimed that this was nothing more than stunt casting. I'm proud to say that I was not one of these people. I was extremely happy with the choice. They got a condecorated, experienced actor to play a complex and multi-layered character. And that's the way it's done, damn it! His performance as Iron Man has become such a trademark that Eric Loomis, the actor that provides Iron Man's voice for Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes, pretty much does a Robert Downey Jr. impersonation when playing Iron Man.
A giant robot? Really? You could have told me.
I don't like to brag, but that footage didn't capture how big the thing really was.
Whoa, hold on, we're halfway through the video. That means it's time for a Stan Lee cameo!
Hey, Tony. Remember me?
Sure don't. Look great, Hef.
Excelsior! Oh!
favorite line. My favorite line is actually delivered by Tony's personal AI, Jarvis.
The render is complete.
A little ostentatious, don't you think?
What was I thinking? You're usually so discreet.
Man, I wish I could bust my boss's balls like that and still keep my job. Favorite scene. My favorite scene comes when Iron Man is attacked by a couple of Air Force jets. I don't just like it because it's a very eye-popping scene, or because of the really well orchestrated mistaken identity sequence. I love this scene because this was the moment when I realized that I was watching a living comic. The idea of a superpowered being fighting some planes in mid-air is not your common Hollywood blockbuster scenario. This is the moment that reassured me that fanboys are slowly taking over the world. Now, let's see, what else do I want to talk about? Oh yeah, let's talk about balls. Balls. Bonus Avengers lead-in scenes. All the interconnected Marvel films have these. The infamous Easter egg usually located after the credits, which makes the movie feel even more like a comic book, by having not a cliffhanger, but more of a to-be-continued moment at the end. And in my personal opinion, this movie has the best set of balls of them all. Check it out!
I am Iron Man. You think you're the only superhero in the world? Mr. Stark, you've become part of a bigger universe. You just don't know it yet.
Who the hell are you?
Nick Fury, director of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Oh.
I'm here to talk to you about the Avenger Initiative.
Now, Samuel L. Jackson has a very distinct voice, so when he first speaks up in this scene, I instantly recognized him. However, the skeptical, pessimistic side of me refused to believe that it was him. There was no way they were going to be awesome enough to get Sam Jackson himself to play Ultimate Nick Fury, the one and only comic book character that was modeled after him. So when he stepped out of the shadows, I squealed like a 13-year-old girl at a Jonas Brothers concert. And then when he said he wanted to talk about the Avengers Initiative, all silly fanboy speculation was over. The Avengers were going to assemble. Final verdict. This movie had an immense burden on its shoulders, as it was the first produced by the newly formed Marvel Studios. There was a lot of pressure for it to perform well, and thankfully, it did, as it set the bar for the next Marvel movies to come, and still remains one of the best ones out of the bunch. A lot of you probably want to know how I feel about them changing Jarvis from a mild-mannered butler to computerized AI. I like the change. Keep in mind that this film was released the same summer as the king of the comic book movies, The Dark Knight. Whether you love it or hate it, it's still the highest grossing comic book movie of all time. Its popularity, it's undeniable, and thus, we had another movie that same summer that also featured an obscenely rich superhero, whose friend turns into a supervillain, who is smitten with a sexy independent lady he can never hook up with, and both have smart-ass butlers. So I can't blame them for trying to set themselves apart. Plus, Paul Bettany plays the voice of Jarvis, and that's just awesome. 10 points on that badassitude meter. Leave your unibeams recharging and give it a watch. Armor up. Check out my website, suckers!